You are watching In Your Interest. On this edition, we are putting the focus on the surge in bomb hoax threats on Indian Airlines. A Delhi-Bengaluru Akasa Air flight carrying 184 people was forced to return to Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport after receiving a bomb threat. That was today. The flight was mid-air when the security alert was issued. Akasa Air confirmed that their emergency response teams acted swiftly, advising the pilot to divert the flight back to Delhi. This has been part of a concerning surge in bomb threats targeting flights across India. Just hours later, an IndiGo flight from Mumbai to Delhi was diverted to Ahmedabad following a similar threat. Security protocols were quickly implemented and all passengers were safely disembarked. In the last 72 hours alone, 12 flights have been affected by bomb threats, causing major disruption. Several airlines, including Air India, SpiceJet and IndiGo, have had to divert or isolate flights. Emergency measures are in full force as aviation authorities are scrambling to address the situation that's escalating by the day. Authorities report that most of these threats were linked to a now suspended social media account. Meanwhile, a high-level meeting led by Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu has taken place, focusing on assessing the threat level and tightening security protocols at airports across India. To understand the situation better and to understand whether your flight is safe or not, I have a couple of very special guests. Now joining us, we have Captain Amit Singh, founder, Safety Matters Foundation, joining us. We also have Mr. Kanishk Gaur, CEO, India Future Foundation, and former MD Protivity joining us. Thank you, Kanishk, for being with us. Captain Amit Singh, let me begin with you. 12 bomb hoaxes in 3 days. That's an alarming number to start with, isn't it?
So this is a part of an organized crime. It does not happen so close, so many of them. So it is clear that there is somebody with a specific interest who is creating this havoc. And it is upon the security agencies, cybercrime, etc., to determine the level of threat. Procedurally and operationally, things are very systematic and laid out very clearly. What the crew or the airline is supposed to do, coordinate things, get the aircraft on ground, evacuate the passengers or disembark them as soon as possible, and then isolate the aircraft, hand it over to the bomb disposal squad. So person who's on social media, who's called up an office or whatever way they have posted this threat, that needs to be analyzed by the security and cybercrime agencies because that is the crime they have committed against the state. And it is not isolated to one airline, it is multiple airlines and multiple threats. So that is a very serious issue. The security need not be beefed up. Again, it is the risk assessment which has to be done, whether it is a specific claim or a generic claim. Do they have specific information giving out or a generic thing? So there's a risk assessment committee which does all this and takes care, even abroad in US or any big country. So there is a big committee and the fines are pretty hefty. For example, in January, a bomb hoax or a inadvertent social media post caused the scare of a bomb hoax. Fighters were scrambled. The cost of the fighter scramble was about $100,000, which was put on the person who posted that. And besides that, the cost of a diversion cost is in tune of about 60 to 70 lakhs at least. So that is the cost we are looking at.
Right, that's the cost we're looking at. Kanishk Gaur, then it becomes all the more important to track down who exactly created this threat, this hoax, and penalize them. From what we understand, reports say that they're planning to do something similar here in India.
These are organized cyber criminals and they are doing it on purpose. Using social media accounts to create such hoax is not new, but the only thing is it has become more persistent. If you recall, in 27th June 2022, there was a guideline by the Computer Emergency Response Team in India, according to which the VPN service providers are required to retain the data of all people who are using VPN and share it with Ministry of Electronics Information Technology and CERT to find out such perpetrators. But I don't think so the VPN service providers in India are following that law. That's why such activities are happening again and again, because these criminals are today hiding behind VPN. Even if there's a social media account, it is post that VPN, these social media accounts are created. That's why they are able to evade arrest or falsify their identity. So what they do is they will create fake email accounts through a VPN and then link those email accounts to social media accounts. Now these social media accounts would be on Facebook, Twitter, and when law enforcement agencies reach out to these social media companies, they would give details which will ultimately lead to a VPN service provider coming in the front and not getting the exact IP address from where this hoax was created. So the onus line is on these VPN service providers to comply, or government will have to bring out guidelines to ban some of these VPN companies who are not complying to the IT laws and are making it more difficult, creating issues on disruptions and impacting national safety and security and causing citizens more harm. If this continues, it will encourage more people to do such activity and it will only create more disruption in the civil aviation sector.
Disruptions in the civil aviation sector. That's what we're concerned about over here. Captain Amit Singh, tell us how does the airline, decide on what needs to be done? What's the protocol? Where do you draw the line? You see the series of bomb hoaxes. How do airlines deal with the situation going forward? Because they are the ones losing money with all the diversions and the isolations, and consequently, at the same time, even as passengers suffer, in these flights, the airlines lose money.
The airlines have no option but to treat every threat as genuine till it is declared a hoax by the security agencies. So you never know what may happen or what could be in store, who has what information stored where. So the moment you get a threat, you are supposed to treat it as genuine, and the protocol is deployed. The SOP is followed, and the aircraft is isolated, passengers evacuated. So that is where the role of the airlines ends. The financial losses could be looked at. There are certain insurance companies which could probably cater for a bomb hoax, because this is a genuine concern across the globe, and such cyber crimes are increasing. Recently, we had the cyber attacks on the aviation websites, wherein the database was attacked, the whole website was down. So such things are on the rise, and there has to be some kind of an insurance to cater for any losses for the passengers and for the airlines.
Kanishk, let me bring this question to you. How does the investigation progress once we understand where the threat comes from? In this particular case, the series of threats in the recent past, which is last 3 days, 12 threats on Indian Airlines, majority of them coming from a Twitter account, from a X social media platform account. But in other cases, when similar bomb hoaxes, threats came to schools in Delhi NCR region, that was on an email. So how does how quickly can you think the miscreants can be nabbed? How does the investigation go in this?
See, as per the new IT rules, government has the authorization to reach out to the chief compliance and chief legal officers of these social media companies who ask for the details of the people who are doing this. So for that, they would ask for the IP addresses. Imagine if it has been done and you are able to trace back the IP address, you can arrest the person in 48 to 72 hours, because the guidelines have to be compliant in 72 hours. In case of national security risk, the social media platforms are to respond within 24 hours. But what's happening now is that majority of these accounts are set up behind VPNs. So even if it's come from an email and it is through a VPN, very difficult to find out where it is originated from. A lot of companies today don't share the IP addresses of the emails. When it comes from Twitter, again, the Twitter account could be set up through a VPN channel. So the VPN service provider becomes immensely important. And a lot of VPN companies don't share the details of their users in the names of freedom of expression, trust, user safety. But a lot of times when perpetrators are doing these crimes, which impact larger safety and security of consumers and civil aviation sector, this ends up being misused. So I think more needs to be done to tighten up screws with the VPN service providers and social media platforms in India, particularly platforms like Twitter. They need to have larger teams. With the number of people who had lost jobs, we saw a lot of people in the compliance and the legal team at Twitter had moved out. So the kind of response which is required from some of the social media platforms could be delayed in India because of the cut in jobs. So government will have to make it mandatory that there are full-time people who are chief compliance, chief legal, and chief regulatory officers of these companies, and they work proactively to share this information. And the VPN companies who are still operating in India are required to share the details of the individuals who are doing such mischief. That's something which is in need of the hour. So between 24 hours to 72 hours, you should get a response. But due to lack of stringent laws or enforcement of stringent laws in the country, we still see these actions happening again and again.
Right. Captain Amit Singh, as of now, we have Ministry of Civil Aviation officials reportedly having critical leads, but and a few suspects as well as to the people responsible for the recent spate of bomb hoax threats on Indian Airlines. But the fact of the matter is that airlines right now will need to come up with a plan B, because if this is the spate at which it can happen, then they need to plan for plan B all the time, isn't it?
Well, unfortunately, for such an eventuality, there is no plan B except to follow the protocol. We cannot say on which flight there would be a bomb hoax or a bomb threat. So we cannot plan for a standby aircraft or standby crew. So they'll have to deal it case by case situation. It's just that the security agencies on ground need to be more proactive. They need to have better intelligence in terms of they can use artificial intelligence to trace back the calls. The person who's handling the call should be trained well so that they immediately inform, communicate, and basically analyze the tapes or whatever social media posts to determine how genuine this threat is. And the risk committees have to analyze the level of threat and they should not treat all threats in the same manner. They need to differentiate based on the information that they have. So it is the safest way to treat every threat in the same seriousness. But when it becomes a regular thing like what we have seen in the past 24 hours, 48 hours, then we need to differentiate between a genuine mid-level and a low-level threat and handle the situation accordingly, depending on what information we have from the security agencies and on ground.
And that means like a new set of protocols, isn't it? Like what the levels of threat that doesn't exist at this point, does it, Captain Amit Singh?
They're supposed to differentiate, but typically in India, we do not have a very strong threat assessment committee. That is primarily because everybody is trying to play safe. So somebody has to take some sort of a decision, a level-headed decision that in the interest of continuation of operations, we need to take some amount of risk based on information.
Right.
It's not without information, but genuine risk assessment has to be carried out. That is a
Captain
safety
Amit Singh,
management system protocol.
Just want to understand this. Every Indian airport has a bomb threat assessment committee, doesn't it? Every airport has one committee like that.
Yes.
And you are telling us that like that committee, the way they grade the levels of threats, there is not enough clarity on it?
Correct. Safety is perceptual. One person might perceive it as a grave threat, other person might perceive it as a low threat. So that's why there's a committee wherein people jointly decide what kind of a threat it is. So if everybody wants to play safe, then it is what we see just now happening.
Okay.
And if it is based on some intelligence or you use artificial intelligence, some sort of protocol other than human intelligence, then there has to be, it can differentiate and somebody can take a decision. If humans are not able to take a decision, then profile based or some other methodology has to be adopted.
Kanishk, that has to be the case when it comes to all bomb threats to all places, not just the flights. The bomb threats to schools. We can use technology to put different levels of threats so that we can make all our lives more simpler.
See, you will have to build up better frameworks for risk assessment. So there is an element of misinformation which is coming into the picture. So if you see certain social media accounts or emails used repeatedly for spreading misinformation with respect to bomb threats, they will have to be flagged and be labeled as misinformation and not be responded to. I don't think so we have that level of sophistication or protocols built in our current frameworks or the risk assessment methodology that we follow within the civil aviation sector right now. Every threat which is put forward to whatever social media channel or email or messaging or through a mobile number is taken up seriously. But in the age of AI and in the age of disinformation and misinformation spreading so fast on social media, we will have to build up different protocols to classify these threats and also do fact checking. I think fact checking mechanisms have to be built in for civil aviation, safety and security. It is the need of the hour. Not only such handles have to be flagged, they will also have to be taken down and disrupted. So we'll have to disrupt these handles. You'll have to go back to these platforms, say, please remove this handles account and ensure if somebody is trying to set up from a similar email ID, it gets blocked or you are able to report it to the law enforcement agency. So we will have to build up more proactive mechanisms, and AI can definitely be used for tracking some of these perpetrators, flagging some of these misinformation techniques. But it's primarily the human framework which have been created so far. They need to be evolved much better.
Right. Captain Amit Singh, I just want to end this with one last comment from you. Tell us, what would be your message to passengers watching this? People who have their flights booked, people who keep flying very often. This is not a very a thought that's going. It's a thought that's going to make most people unsettled every time they take a flight.
So the normal security protocol is robust enough to handle any kind of bomb to pass through, be it from cargo or passenger carrying bomb. So passengers have to be assured that the normal protocol works and works well, 100%, because there are certain audits which are conducted by the agencies, the BCAS, etc. So they carry dummy weapons and try to pass through security. So security agencies are on their toes every time, and they have multiple layers. It is not just one layer of security. There are multiple layers. As you enter, or rather before you enter the airport, you have a kind of a security screening. And
Right.
then there are multiple layers till you reach the aircraft. So it is not easy for anybody to carry a bomb or a weapon on board. So
Okay.
that needs to be, that message needs to be sent across. So under normal situation, nothing would happen. This is only an extraordinary situation created by misinformation.
Correct. That's very important message there going out from Captain Amit Singh, founder, Safety Matters Foundation. Thank you so much, Captain Amit Singh, for taking time to be with us here on this edition of In Your Interest. And of course, thank you, Kanish Gaur, CEO of India Future Foundation, for being with us on this edition of In Your Interest. And with that, we've completely run out of time here. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.